We're somewhere between south and north of Oman, which they call the middle. And we're gonna make a few stops here. The first one is the sugar dunes, in which I'm now walking. I'm leaving the car to check what direction to continue because there's only sand dunes. There has been very strong winds over the past few days, so there aren't many tracks left anymore. So we're not sure in which direction to continue, if we can continue. The sand beneath my feet feels quite hard, so this might be the way. Before we continue on this trek, we will deflate our tires a bit, because where I'm walking now, it's quite hard, but some stretches are way softer. With the weight of the car, we might get deep into it. I am Celine, and this is Benjamin. We are traveling the world with our Toyota Landcruiser from Belgium to South Africa. How much bar will you put?
1.5
1.5
to start.
Alright, we're going for it. But not for long. Now we don't see any track anymore, so modern day explorers, we're using the drone to see if we can find the track again. Old school exploring, checking on foot to see whether there is a track. Well, it's definitely not in that direction because the dunes are quite high. Find a way to continue here, so now we were in doubt to stay here, camp here, but Benjamin is not entirely happy with this spot, so he wants to go all around and look for a better spot on the other side. I don't know why, but probably we will end up here again.
Never satisfied him.
And yes, you guessed it right, we end up in the same spot. We didn't find better, but at least we tried. We didn't find any decent tracks, a lot of sand hills, and the spots we could access to were actually not so nice because I thought it was gonna be nicer closer to a sand dune, but then you're just eating sand, which is not what we want. We want to eat wraps. We're on our afternoon walk now that the weather changed from scorching hot to just hot. No, actually with the wind that...
And you think I'm as big as Selena? It's because I'm going almost knee deep in the sand.
It's very funny sand. Sometimes it's super hard and it's like you're walking on top of it, and then at times you sink in almost knee deep. We leave the sugar dunes today. We came from the south and we leave to the north on a dirt road, and you can take that very literally. It's full of dirt. We're driving just next to the ocean and the whole beach is full of trash that came from the sea. It's really, really sad.
We tried to avoid the highway and follow tracks close to the coastline, but soon these dry salt flats turned into a salt lake and we had to head back to the main road.
We want to continue our way through Bar Al Hikman, but this is the main road and it's impassable right now. They cross the main road by boat. Probably this rain is coming from the big rains that happened in the north of the country earlier this week. So we don't know how we can continue. We just passed through dry salt flats, but also wet salt flats. So the car is full of salt probably at the bottom, which we don't really like. We were going to go to a car wash at the other side of town, but we cannot cross due to the floods. So we found another solution. And another time. The other side. Oh. Happy?
Most of the salt is gone. And the dust.
So what now? They said it can take 5 days. It's already been 2 days. So 3 more days. We'll check the map. There are other crossings, but probably not. Because it's a river, which is coming from the north. And it goes all the way to the sea.
Alright.
Go to Muscat, they said. Muscat is nice. It's like the opposite side of where we are at now. Yeah, there are no other roads actually. What to do?
Yeah, that's crazy. Here we can go back to the main road. The main road crosses this, so I hope it's a bridge. And then we're on the other side. We can go back off here and drive south again to the other side of the village. Then we
can try.
Alright.
So this whole area is flooded. You can tell that it's something that doesn't happen too often, as people stop alongside the road to take photos and even to bathe. They come to bathe. The amount of water is insane. If you know it is normally like just a dry plain, it's incredible. We're off the main road now, trying to get through our destination of today. But we're ahead of a stretch of mud. We saw a car in front of us really slipping. We took a little reflection time, but we're gonna try. Fingers crossed. As well. Okay, take the bump. Okay, so far so good. It seems like it's a little layer of mud, but below it it's solid. short stretch that was a bit wet and the rest was already quite dry. It's crazy because it rained just a few days ago and the ground is entirely dry already again. We asked at the car wash in town if it was worth it to get our car washed before heading to Bar Al Hikman, but I think we better do it afterwards because they said the roads will be difficult, take water, take food, so we don't know what to expect.
We just stick to the line on maps and all was fine for us, nothing difficult about it.
We're at Bar Al Hikman. They call it the Maldives of Oman. We think it's highly exaggerated. It could be a paradise, but on the ocean side there is so much trash that even if we now stay on the lagoon side, you have it in the back of your head. And you cannot forget that part is so ugly. What normally is also more special here is the color of the water, like the Maldives blue, but because of the floods a few days ago, there's a lot of brownish mud-like water now. Yeah, all these elements together, the fact that the wind keeps on being very strong, so there's a lot of salt and sand in the air. We decided that we're gonna move on and not stay here longer than one night. We always feel a little bit sad in places like this because there's so much potential. It's quite unique to get here. You have to drive 50-60 kilometers on off-road tracks, flat, there's nothing, so you really get this sense of remoteness. And then at the end there's a sandbank. You can go both ways to the end of the sandbank, so that's where we are now, next to a little camp. At one side there's the ocean. Somebody's making a lot of noise here. So at one side there's the ocean, on the other side there's the lagoon. Yeah, really paradise, but for us it's not the right time to enjoy it right now. From one remote area to the other, we just drove 100 kilometers on the main road and now we're getting off again. This little town, it's not really a town, it's just some tents, is the start of the Wahiba Sands trek. It's a desert which we will try to cross from the south to the north. We just deflated our tires more to drive better in the sand. And now we will try to find our way up north. Ready for it? Driver is ready. That's all there need to be. So the goal of the next day is to check if we're on this little line. And we start already by getting off the line. Alright, we're on the line.
Finally!
And now, not getting off again anymore. And it starts with a dune uphill. Come on, Tony!
It turns. High gears. Choose one line and stick to it. What do you think? What do you think? What do you think?
We will make it, we will make it. Yeah, almost there.
Take another gear.
Alright, we made it to the top of the hill. And immediately another uphill. This will be fun but challenging, I think. Whee! Whoa! Be careful! Now we're gonna jump. Which one to choose? I would choose right.
Right?
And he chooses left. That's how it is in life. The secret of a good relationship. Always doing exactly opposite of what your partner wants. We were told that the desert looks green nowadays, and it's true. Because of the rains, there's a lot of shrubs. I don't know how it is without rain, but probably it's more than before. We have been driving for almost 60 kilometers on sandy tracks. We're literally in the middle of nowhere, and suddenly there's a mosque. Really, there's nothing but desert here, and then there's a mosque, and not like often in remote places you find some kind of shed, some kind of improvised mosque, but this one is like a full-on real mosque. Hot. Any guesses how many degrees? We don't have a thermometer in our car. I think it's 35. We had a very quiet night in the desert after we moved spots, because our first spot suddenly the wind picked up and we were eating sand again. So we decided to move a bit down in the valley with these desert fields all around us. It's still pretty spectacular to see how this whole area is so green now. If we look on Google satellite view, it's just brown sand, and now it's full of green. So we're so surprised that in a few days the whole desert can bloom. To leave Wahiba Sands already today, but then around 20 kilometers from our previous camp we found this valley which has high trees that provide shade, so we decided to just stay here the whole day because there was good internet reception, because there are camps nearby and I had to do some work. And we had to research a bit for our shipping and our Africa trip. So that was good news. We sheltered the whole day in the shade of a tree with a hammock. And now we're gonna climb a nearby hill because our valley is already in the shade. Looks like we're going from shade to shade nowadays. I thought it was around like 32 degrees, but I looked it up and it's more like 37. And in the next days it might reach even 40 degrees, so I think it's very normal that we are sweating. Oh my god, such a steep dune. We're almost at the top. Last push.
Yeah.
No, don't do that. The sweat and the sand. Worst combination.
Another day, another sunset. You get used to it.
Behind us. It's gone already, so we can look in whatever direction right now.
It's the moonrise.
Yeah, it's true. Back to civilization after almost 3 days in the desert. Turning off the four-wheel drive because we're going from salt. Because we're going from sand to asphalt. Smooth driving again. Alright, getting into town, stock up, inflate tires, speed bump alert.
Exiting Wahiba Sands means we're officially in the north of Oman, the region of wadis, where we can finally cool down, the region of more beaches, where we finally see turtles, and the region of mountains, where the temperatures drop enough for us to be active again. See you there!